country music here on the show. Whole crew here, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, and Will Bowling. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
Well, I feel a little bit like Frank Costanza this morning, Will. I got a lot of problems with you guys, and you're going to hear about it, okay? So Ramon Foster, on Tuesday morning, Austin Price, who has to have all his little walk-up music and all his little special things, comes on this show, takes a little jab at me. You lean back in your chair, and there you are like a Chicago Bears offensive lineman looking at Caleb Williams laying on the ground who don't even help me out. Don't even help me up, Ramon.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, I would go with you, Will, but Ron Slay's coming in next hour, and he's going to hell with him because of the NBA.
Thank you.
So, Kayla, how you doing this morning?
Hey, Brent. Nice to talk with you, huh?
No.
Thank you for sparing me. I'm already on the chopping block.
We transition so quick, Hubs. You know I got you, man. Listen, if he walk in the alley, okay?
Keep on backtracking.
Hubs is bringing it.
Come on.
Ramon was afraid of some of those shards of glass that broke when Austin came in of hitting him some shrapnel.
I did, Hubs.
Man,
You right.
Hubs got fired.
Hey, when I see him, I'm putting him in a headlock, okay? He cannot break us up. Do you understand? We locked in. I got a country playlist because of you, Hub. You know what I'm saying? We've been tied in since high school.
Yeah, I do feel better airing my grievances this morning, so I hope you guys are well.
It's hilarious.
Well, Brent, we always like to say on the show, it's Friday, and you should act like it. We appreciate you properly acting like it's Friday with us this morning.
Preach.
Absolutely.
So, there it is. Hey, man, listen. I'm going to have to start buying you dinner on Fridays moving forward. You hear me? You good at this thing, Hubs, is all I'm saying.
Ramon's Vol Network teammate, even though it didn't feel like a Tuesday. Brent Hubs joining us this morning.
Got blindsided sacked. He just looked at me.
Listen,
extend a hand to help me out.
We talked about this earlier with young quarterbacks. Listen, Coach Tomlin did it to me in my rookie year. It was just your day on Tuesday, Hubs. You had to get put in the blender, that's all.
I understand. It happened.
Man, you got
and I'm very deserving of it.
Our good friend Robert Walsh, man, just texted me and just said, Hubs is so bleeping good. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, spin it positive for me now.
Get out your shovel. I love it.
Stakes on me, Hubs.
Brent
Stakes on me.
Hubs of VolQuest with us this morning, guys. So, Brent, getting into the war room this morning and Joey Aguilar getting to Knoxville. What is the latest on a timeline for him getting to Rocky Top and getting to practice with his team?
Well, Appalachian State's classes finished up and finals finished up actually today. So in talking to Joey and actually I'll give Austin Price credit. He talked to him on Monday. The vibe from Joey is that he expects to be here sometime next week. Now, exactly what day, we'll see. But at some point next week, scheduled to be in town when we get settled in. And then obviously the official off-season work starts June the 1st. But for Joey, it's an immediate go to work in the film room with Joey Halsley and start to learn this offense and start to get up to speed as fast as he can, meet as many of his teammates as he can, and put himself in a position to go battle for this starting job over the summer. It's going to be a quick battle, but it will be an intense one. Obviously, Joey has the experience. There's a lot of things to like about that, but this offense is brand new. Merklinger's got a year in the offense, and then George has got a wealth of talent. How quickly can he pick things up? And George is a guy who processes fast. He's a fast learner. He's played 4 different high school systems, which helps him learn a new system, I'm sure. But it'll get intense coming up here starting next week with Joey Aguilar coming to town.
Brent, Colorado DB Colton Hood joins the fray, another option at corner. How big of an impact do you think he can have as maybe one of the big additions Tennessee has made in the spring portal? And what does the depth look like at that corner position as Jermon McCoy continues to rehab the torn ACL?
Well, I love the pickup of Hood for a couple of reasons. One, he's been productive at the Power 4 level. 2, he's got multiple years of eligibility left. And 3, it actually creates some depth at all spots for Tennessee in the secondary. And what I mean by that is now you have another true corner. So there's not as much pressure on Jermon McCoy. He's obviously trying to get back as fast as he can, but you're certainly looking for him in week 2, week 3 at the latest if you can. And so now, you can be, I won't say cautious, but there's not as much pressure for him to get back for week 1 because you've got a little depth there with Ricky Gibson. with Jalen McMurray, now with Colton Hood, and then McCoy would be your fourth corner. And obviously they like to rotate their corners anyway. But what it allows Jalen McMurray to do is McMurray can now become a swing guy in the secondary. He can play corner in a rotation, and he can play in a rotation as the nickel guy at the star position. So now you got a little depth behind Boo Carter with a guy who's played it some, and played it at Temple, and has played it, in practice at Tennessee and in certain situations while he's at Tennessee as well in games. So now you've answered that depth question a little bit. What it looked like was going to happen is Caleb Beasley was going to split between star and safety. This will allow Beasley to focus more on safety in fall camp, in my opinion, because you've got a little help now at the star spot. And Beasley finds himself in a position that he's battling Edris Farouk for the starting safety spot at Tennessee with the loss of Jacoby Thomas, the loss of Christian Charles, and John Slaughter to the transfer portal. So the arrival of Colton Hood gives you some depth in all three spots, and I think it really will allow Caleb Beasley, who Tennessee's really high on. I thought he finished the year terrific in special teams last year. This is going to allow him to focus on one position, which will put him in a better place to be a part of the safety rotation, if not win a starting job.
Our good associate and Kayla's good friend,
My best buddy.
Brent Hubbs is with us this morning. Nah,
I'm Ron Burgundy.
I'm Ron Burgundy. Brent Hubbs with us this morning. Hubbs, with so much on the defensive side of things, with so much that dropped on the offense this year with the leaving of the quarterback, man, how big of a job is this for Tim Banks and his defense, man? And just how much stock does he have now moving forward with this staff to kind of want to keep him around? I know head coaching is always a coach's dream, but what does this do for him moving forward?
Well, I think Tim's one of the better DCs in the country. And I think what I say that is you look at the body of work over the last 4 years. That side of the ball was really depleted when he arrived, and they took their lumps and they just tried to survive, and they were super aggressive and took a lot of chances, gave up a lot of plays, but took a lot of chances to get off the field. And they've gone out and recruited and developed, and they've got some transfer portal help, but they've continued to develop guys and create an identity of who they are and what they want to be. And you saw that identity a good bit last year. They obviously built to stop the run, but on third down, they made dramatic improvements last year in getting off the field because of their improvement in the secondary. And when you can get corners who can play, it changes how you play in the secondary. And obviously they've been a good up front under Rodney Garner, and they've continued to build there and stack their depth. So I think Tim has done a terrific job. I mean, he is a large portion and a large reason why Tennessee was a playoff team last year. And yeah, they've got some holes to fill, and there's some things that they have to replace, but you feel like you know the answer to some of those holes because you've seen those guys in work because of the way that they rotated. And what I mean by that is, yeah, James Pierce is gone, and James Pierce is a really talented player who was effective for Tennessee. Even though his numbers weren't great, he was effective last year. But you like Joshua Joseph. You like Caleb Herring. You like a Jordan Ross and these guys. So you feel like they've created depth there. And it's not just that they're potential on paper. You've seen Joseph play. You've seen Herring play. And I think one of the best things Tim Banks has done, and it started with Rodney Garner by rotating all those guys up front. You go to the second level, Brian Jean-Marie had no fear in putting a young player in critical situations at the linebacker position. Go back and look at Arian Carter and where he played his freshman year and the times that he was on the field in critical situations. And I thought William Inge followed that up last year. And then in the secondary, they made a real shift in mindset and rotating and playing more guys to create depth. So what's the result? When Ricky Gibson was called on to play last year, he was ready to go because he had a couple of starts and played a good bit his freshman season. You've seen the same thing with Andre Turrentine at safety. They've created depth and experience with that depth by being willing to rotate those guys at any different point in time in a football game, and it's been the biggest benefit for the growth of that defense, in my opinion.
No doubt about it. There's one guy in particular, man. I'm going all defense today, man. I'm super excited to see on the line this year, man. And it is a guy you just mentioned, Jordan Ross. I've seen his basketball clips. Dude is a freak athlete, and it seems to be this is the year where he got a little experience last year. that he could take a jump. Do you feel the same way with what he's capable of if he can get this defense down?
I think it's all about the mental approach for him every day. And he has got to make, and it's normal, it's youth, right? You've got to make that shift of relying on your athletic ability and really diving into the nuances of playing the position at the college level. You're not just bull rushing everybody, or you're not just speed rushing everybody. You've got to do multiple things. And I think it was disappointing. He was banged up in spring and was a bit limited. But from a talent standpoint, absolutely, Ramon. He's got a ton of talent. It's on this coaching staff with Coach Chop and Coach Garner to get him to take a, quote, next step and become a more complete player, which is a natural progression for him. I think because he got a taste of it last year, he's a motivated guy. I think you are going to see a guy who's going to step in and help. I'm really anxious to see that entire defensive front. Jackson Moy has done a terrific job leading that group, and I think he's going to be a guy who takes a real step on the inside. I'm fascinated to see Shell, the transfer from Grand Valley State. But then you look at them on the outside. They have a lot of bodies, right? Where does Tyree Weathersby factor in? Where does Tyree West factor in? Jordan Ross. What about Marion Dye, the freshman? I mentioned Herring, and I mentioned those young guys that they have at that position as well. So it's going to be fun to watch the growth of this defensive front, because I think they're talented, and they're replacing obviously some talented, experienced players. It's going to be fun to watch those guys grow from week one to the end of the season.
We've got a good friend, Brent Hubbs, on the show this morning. You can join him every day this time. Excuse me, every day. I wish we had you on every day. Every Friday. Then we'd have to pay him big bucks, guys. I want to pick your brain because we had this conversation earlier, Brent, about the transfer portal and possibly eliminating the spring transfer portal. How much do you think that could become a reality, and are you on board with that, and why do you think the biggest thing to get rid of it would be the biggest positive, I should say?
Well, coaches are begging to get rid of it, and it's kind of funny. I mean, there's two sides of it, right? I mean, there are times that you need players. Somebody has an injury in the spring or something happens and you end up having a need there. But what coaches want their roster set in January, February. Because they spend so much of the springtime building their team, building your chemistry, figuring out what you have, looking at all those things, that it's important that when you come out of spring practice that your roster is set and you know what you have going into the short summer window. And that window continues to get shorter as we play games up into August. Time you get out of spring, out of the spring semester, you got about 100 days or so, something like that, to build your team. Coaches want to build longer than that. You can do so much in February now with film study and different things in your your off-season workout, that coaches want their roster set at the end of January. They don't want to have to worry about losing somebody and that, dealing with, okay, somebody wants to renegotiate or do all this or that type of thing. To the point, some coaches in spring practice right now aren't even doing basically 11 on 11 work. They're not doing anything that might show a depth chart because they're afraid somebody might leave them in the spring portal. So coaches want rid of it. Why keep it? Well, the thought process initially on it was the right thing to do would be to keep it so a kid will stay and not prematurely leave, stay in battle for a job, and then make a decision after that. I don't think there's enough benefit in that. So I would love to see the spring portal. Let me rephrase it. I would love for them to go down to one portal window.
Okay.
I think we have to get out of this world where a guy can play for multiple schools, can be at multiple places, having never played a snap of football at that place. I like Tyler Barron, but I think we have to get rid of what Tyler Barron did last year. And that's go to Ole Miss, go to Louisville, go to Miami, and finish at Miami. And that's what he did over a 5-month span in the offseason. So I think you've got to eliminate the multiple moves like that in the offseason, which is why, football is the only sport that's got two portal windows. Every other sport in college has one window, and I think that's where football's got to get to. The question is, are you going to do that in the spring and May, which is what Ross Bork is suggesting, the AD from Ohio State, to get it out of the clutter that is December that coaches are trying to manage so much stuff.
Very interesting. Great perspective on that, Brent. Let's talk a little money. when it comes to can we get more of that?
Please, everybody needs a little more money. Nobody needs more money than ADs right now. Right?
Exactly. With the revenue sharing, that's expected, I think, to come into place in July. I want you to just give us a brief explanation that we can all understand on why it's not just about football and the dollars, but how do other sports play into this?
Well, I think there's a couple. It's two layers. One, what's happening with rev share across the board now is you have schools that are going to have money that haven't had money in the past for NIL. In the past, what NIL has been is it's just been donor based. Okay, if you've got a great donor base who will contribute, you got a lot of NIL money. Okay, that's why Texas has a lot of money, because their donor base has got deep pockets and it's large. Oregon's donor base, has some deep pockets with a guy that runs a shoe company out there. There are other schools. Ohio State's got some deep pockets committed to football. Now what you have is with rev share, everybody who opts into rev share is going to have some money to go with it. But it's not just football money. If you're doing a full rev share, then the bulk of it's going to go to football in the SEC, and then some to men's basketball, and then the rest of it you're going to divide up however you want to. So for, let's say, baseball, for example, in baseball, now you're going to have schools in this league that have money for baseball that haven't had NIL money for baseball through the donor stuff. So so now you're, I don't want to say leveling the playing field, but you're creating, more money across the board for various student athletes, which means if you're trying to stay above those teams where the elite NIL, schools have been, then you're going to have to contribute more money, because what you were paying now, everybody's going to have some money in that pool. And now if you want to be above them, then you're going to have to find more money. And that's the thing with the House settlement and rev share. Everybody says, hey, this is going to create some guardrails. It's really not. It's going to continue to create the haves and the have-nots. So what's going to happen is everybody's going to have money, and then the haves are going to add more money to it. Okay, it's not a salary cap where it's going to come out and say, hey, you can't spend more than $15 million on football and X number on basketball and X number on your other sports to get to 20, and that's all you can spend. No, man, this is, you can spend that, and then the elite players in your program are going to get money on top of that through donor NIL, which is not going away. And that's why you're seeing Nick Saban and the president and a billionaire donor at Texas Tech now creating another committee to talk about how to fix it. And, we'll see if anything ever comes from that.
Brent, quickly on the way out, there's a local prospect here in Bell Buckle, Joel Wyatt, and I know there is a lot of buzz around his recruitment. 4-star prospect, top 75 player in the country, according to On3. Tennessee in the mix. Vanderbilt pushing really, really hard. Will be one of their best commits ever if they were able to get him. What are you hearing about his recruitment for a local prospect who is certainly trending for a number of SEC schools?
Yeah, good player, first of all, really good player. And I think that one's kind of all over the map. I mean, he is interested in a lot of schools. He's not ready to, quote, narrow it down at this point. But certainly Tennessee is heavily involved in. They've been involved there. Ole Miss is involved. Vanderbilt, as we just talked about, with some rev share, there's some money there that they haven't had in the past. That's put them in the conversations. How do you use that money? Do you want to use it for the transfer portal, or do you want to use it for high school players as well? So I think that Joel's recruitment is going to be interesting in the month of June. The month of June is really wild when you've got a lot of guys taking their official visits and then looking to make a decision after that. And Joel's trying to get a handle on things, because this recruitment is really blown up, because he's a terrific athlete who's a really good player who a lot of schools want to see. And LSU's there. Vanderbilt feels pretty good where they're at. Ole Miss has been in there. Tennessee's certainly been in there, and got to get him on campus, and are trying to get him on campus as much as they can over the course of the next 6 or 8 weeks.
Great stuff as always with Brent Hubbs of VolQuest, who joins us Fridays at 7:20. We appreciate all the info, and go and get a VolQuest subscription for you, for your mom, for your dad, for anybody in your life. It is the best info you can get on the market. Brent, always excellent. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you are. You are always excellent.
Thanks, guys. Hey, Will, good luck to you next hour, my friend. I'll be watching.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks,
I need all the help I can get.
my goodness.
Brent Hubbs with us here this morning on the show, brought to you by Ascend Federal Credit Union, your financial partner for every stage of life. The best of the best, Brent.